Good evening, everybody. It's your friend Sean here with you on another Thiel Tuesday. Now, this Tuesday is going to be a little different because we're not going to look at the book 0 to 1, which we've been going through and picking apart and thinking about and sort of spinning off thoughts on. Instead, we're going to listen to something that Mr. Thiel said at the New York Times Deal Book Conference on November 1, 2018. Now, this was pointed out to me by a friend and fan, Arpan Gupta. Arpan, thank you for your help spotting this, bringing it to my attention. I spotted it when he was watching another video about Trump and how Trump has been vindicated by the results of the Mueller report. Anyways, let's play this because it's summer. Mr. Thiel says it best in his own words, and we can sort of talk about it a bit in a second. I'm just going to play this on my phone.
I do not believe that any I don't believe the president or any of the core people of his administration had meaningful contacts with Russians. So I think it's an insane, wild.
Okay, so we know that that's true, and there was nothing meaningful. I mean, maybe they were talking about building a hotel there. Who cares? It's not collusion in an election, is it? Okay.
News chase. I think it's going to backfire catastrophically on the Democrats because you get one.
It has backfired, hasn't it? Because you look around at all these Democrats who are saying, look at Bernie, look at Schiff, look at Schumer, all these guys who thought that there was some sort of huge plot and that Trump was a Russian spy, if they ever thought that. But at the very least they said it out loud and played people to it. And it was truly a damaging thing and not a needed thing when the fact of the matter is the country has actual big things to do. It's got to deal with their deficit. They got to worry about trade. They got to worry about North Korea. Got to worry about people on food stamps. Got to help each other out, and we're wasting time on what is absolute a crock. Read between the lines.
Silver bullet. This was not the one to use. It was a mistake. So, like, I don't want to attribute too much intentionality to the president, but I'd almost be tempted to say that he's quite happy that you're so focused on this crazy Russia story. It's like something from the John.
Remember Sun Tzu, Art of War. Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Trump certainly played up to this, and I don't know if necessarily I'm sure he would have. I think Thiel is probably overplaying this a bit, but certainly the Democrats were making a mistake. It did cause quite a bit of pain to people like Roger Stone and General Flynn, who were caught up in the middle of it and had to pay huge legal bills or went to jail and these sorts of things. However, look at the end result now. The press is totally discredited. The Democrats look like fools. And Trump is kind of like the Teflon Don, nothing stuck to him. Here he is with those enemies sort of disgraced, moving on to actually hopefully enact something worthwhile with Congress.
Birch Society. It's a conspiracy theory that would be like.
Do you think this is bait for him? You think he's baiting the other side with this?
Well, I think
it's a conspiracy theory. So funny that everyone likes to pick on Alex Jones. When you look at the way that the press, like MSNBC and CNN, any number of these people played this up, they are the conspiracy theorists. Alex Jones, everyone knows he's an entertainer, and he never, he knows he's a character at least, and some people do fall for it, but the CNN, those guys all did the democracy dies in darkness thing as they we're holier than thou thing as they pump this conspiracy theory on. On and on and on and on. I remember they were ignoring a big fire in London. Remember the one where the tower went up, Stansted? I forget the name of it. Dozens of people died, and the CNN was still on some totally useless, pedantic Trump aspect. While there was this one of the huge news stories of the year, they weren't even touching it. They had their own axe they wanted to grind. The news be damned.
I think there's a sense that it's if the next 2 years involve a discussion about the Russians and you don't find anything, then Trump will get reelected.
They didn't find anything. Now, this was in November 2018, so we're, 4 or 5 months from that, and I looked at Trump's favorability ratings, and they weren't that bad, and I look at the Democrats with their divided field full of lightweights and weird thoughts, like the Green New Deal. Kamala's behind it and all this. Beto's behind it. But it's fantasy. That's even more absurd than the Russia stuff, frankly. But it's like mainstream now among the Dem candidates. So yeah, and I've gone public on my blog saying that Trump is going to win in 2020. And when I look over at the Democrats, it's easy to see why, because they are useless.
Do you anticipate supporting him in 2020?
I don't see why there's nothing that's changed my mind now.
Why not?
I mentioned earlier you've moved to LA and got...
Okay, so they talk about some other things after that. That's a good thing to watch. Thanks, Arpen, for sending that my way. What can we learn from this? So we know that Thiel was a guy who supported Trump early on from Silicon Valley, which is essentially like a monoculture politically, totally captured by the Democrats. And we know he took a lot of heat from that. We know that he wound up moving to LA. So this sort of ties back into some of the lessons that we pulled out of from 0 to 1, right? One of them is avoiding the madness of crowds, which is something that Thiel goes on to say in that interview is going on in San Francisco right now. If you've been to San Francisco lately, you'll know that there are arguments to be made for that. It is sort of falling apart, isn't it? The whole area is choked in traffic. I wouldn't want to live there, frankly. It was probably nice back when people were ranching there, but now, yikes, hard to move around, expensive, dirty. Not my type of place. Northern California, Shasta, that's my place. What else can we take from this? So, avoid the madness of crowds, and then its flip side, obviously, think for yourself. So that's something that Thiel certainly does here. He's facing down a crowd of journalists. You can hear in the audience their displeasure and the uncomfortableness as he's saying these things, telling them, hey, this is a conspiracy. This is a wild goose chase. This is crazy. You're wasting your time. You're empowering Trump. Nobody wants to hear that. If you're one of these people from New York Times who's been pumping this thing up and you think Trump is the worst thing that's ever happened to America and that Hillary was great. But all those people who think that way are now in the same boat where they burnt up a whole bunch of political capital, they burnt up a whole bunch of goodwill, and what do they get for it? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. In fact, if anything, they wasted opportunities to actually take action against Trump. They didn't do that bad in the last election, but could they have done better if they focused on things that were more real instead of that mattered to actual people, actual voters, rather than this crazy thing? I mean, shouldn't there have been a tell when we were hearing about, oh, there's a pee tape, like he was peeing on a prostitute in Russia? Like, come on, guys. I mean, come on. So, Think for yourself. Avoid the madness of crowds. Certainly takes a certain amount of courage. And then what else? What other lessons can we draw from this? What other lessons can we draw from this? Well, why don't you let me know in the comments or drop me a line on Twitter like Arpan did. Thanks again, Arpan. I hope that whoever's out there watching this is enjoying it. Of course, I'm always happy to hear comments and chat. Get me out of my own echo chamber. We can learn from each other. Thank you for watching.